Excellent.
The end result is passionate power.
Excellent example. Yes, sir, you've got a microphone at the back.
The thing that we're missing is the best regulator in the world are free markets. What failed here was transparency. When you have transparency, free markets work better than any government regulators. And that's the thing that we've got to focus our energies on. How do we improve transparency?
Thank you very much for making the comment. Yes?
My question is actually to you. You know, media wields a whole lot of power worldwide. In a crisis, what's your advice to media? You know, you sometimes have to have some restraint so that you don't create a crisis.
Good question.
Ow. Ow. You know, coming from the UK, I'll keep this very brief, but coming from the UK, I'm fascinated with the American election race at the moment because the role of the media seems to have been raised almost as though the media are the third candidate in the election race, which I find bizarre because with my background, the media was always there to inform and report and investigate, and the media shouldn't be the story. The media should be there facilitating the story. And that's what we're doing here at this debate, and hopefully that was a good enough answer for you, because we've got to move on. Sandeep, I don't know if you want to pick up any of the points that have been made here.
Power without a profit is, of course, not something which is going to happen. But something without passion is, of course, passion is necessary, but in a different sense, not today maybe. But, and I think it's overall, power is a very important component, not the whole thing, of course. I'm not saying power is the only thing, but I think it's part of the whole, and I think it's a very important part of the whole.
Okay, thank you very much for putting forward the case for power. We have to take a quick break. We're going to be back in just a moment. What is passion or power without purpose? We're going to come back and talk about purpose in just a moment.
Ernst & Young are proud to be associated with the World Economic Forum's annual meeting of the new champions in Tianjin. Ernst & Young, quality in everything we do. Ernst & Young are proud to be associated with the World Economic Forum's annual meeting of the new champions in Tianjin. Ernst & Young, quality in everything we do.
We're back, everybody, at the World Economic Forum meeting in China with capital markets in crisis and financial institutions fighting for survival. What should leaders be focusing on? What wins now? That's the question we're asking here. In these tougher times, is there room for any purpose beyond ensuring economic viability? Let me invite Vikram Akula to make the case now for purpose.
Vikram Akula, Chief Executive Officer of SKS Microfinance.
Especially in tough times, you have to be purpose-driven. Take my company, SKS Microfinance. Our purpose is to provide financial services to the poor so they can get out of poverty. Because we are purpose-driven, we design products that work for the poor. Small weekly repayments, doorstep delivery, even interest-free emergency loans. And because of this set of products, the customers do extraordinarily well. And that's why we've been able to disperse 1 billion, get this, subprime, unsecured loans to 3 million clients who are illiterate and have no credit history, and they've repaid it with a 99% repayment rate. We can only do that by being purpose-driven. Now, does that mean that profit, power, passion have to take a backseat? Well, no. Even in tough times, take profit, for example. If the instinct is to pass on rising costs to borrowers, what we do at SKS is we don't raise our interest rate. We ask our shareholders to bear that burden. But what we do is we create a loyal customer base that when times get better, when they move up the economic ladder, they stay with us. And that's when our shareholders get profits. If you don't believe me, ask some of our venture capitalists like Sequoia. Trust me, they're only profit-driven. And they're very happy because they realize purpose leads to long-term profits. What about power? Well, with a 3 million customer base that's stable and tough economic times, vendors come to us and are ready to give us low-cost goods to access that client base. So today we can source for our customers solar lights, food, mobile phones at lower prices than what's in the market. Purpose leads to power. And what about passion? Imagine what our 10,000 staff think when they get up to work in the morning. It's not just a job, they're giving back to their community. And especially if the company does right by the customers in down times, the employees come with an increased sense of passion. Purpose leads to passion. To summarize, if you make purpose your central focus, whether that be financial services or building the best car or the fastest processor, it will lead to profits, it will lead to power, it will lead to passion. Thank you.
Thank you. Vikram Akula, ladies and gentlemen. Who would like to start us here? Yes, at the back.
I totally agree with you. I think purpose, building an organization through purpose will lead to profits, passion, and power. What about where we are now? I think part of what we're trying to figure out here is what gets us out of the mess that a bad combination of all these things got us into. So how do you think purpose can lead us out of it?
Well, if I were to comment on the current financial crisis and particularly subprime that goes with that, I think there was a loss of a sense of purpose. It became a drive for profit, a drive for greed that made people lose sight of the purpose. The purpose of a subprime mortgage is so that poor people have houses and you design products that work for them. If people stayed with that purpose, and I'll go with the example that John had given earlier about the Wells Fargo, if people stayed with that purpose, I don't think you would get lost. And I'll qualify here that when I say purpose, it can't be the purpose of making money. Making money is the end result of following the purpose, and in that case, it had to be providing the right type of loan to subprime clients and not the wrong type of loan that was driven more by greed.
This may be an unpopular comment, but I think that we are faced with somewhat of a false dichotomy. I think that we can't survive with any one of these attributes, and it's each one of them used in the appropriate way at the appropriate time. That is what we need to be successful. So I wouldn't want to argue against either one of you. I think the problem is using the wrong attribute at the wrong time and not using them in a holistic way. So sorry to be a contrarian here, but that's my perspective.
That's great, but what's the right attribute now?
If you use one, whether it be passion or power, I think we'll fail. Gentleman back here from Cisco talked about something else, transparency. I agree with him. I think that's what's missing. You can't be passionate or powerful or purposeful without transparency. We don't have transparency in the United States, so that people are allowed to do terrible, awful things out of the sight of everybody else. So unfortunately, I think it's a little bit more complicated than choosing any one of these things. And right now, it's pretty embarrassing to be sitting here and being an American.
Don't be so hard on yourself.